This episode was recorded for Halloween. Bear with us.
You will beware. You're in for a scare.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Anichat with Ash Deluni. I am your host, Ash Deluni. And this is, like I said, the first episode. Let's get a round of applause. Yes, thank you. Oh my god. As I'm here with all the crowds of people around me. I'm just kidding. I'm not. I'm in my studio right now. So, yeah, first episode. Today we have some stuff we're going to go through. If you don't know what Anichat is basically just a radio show, podcast that's sometimes live, sometimes not. Today, I'm not doing it live just because of some technical issues in the studio. But today, I'm here in my home studio. Why not? But Anichat is a podcast / radio show about just animation and cartoons, whether that be in video games, animated series, just anything I like to talk about that is related to the world of animation. And I just like to talk about that stuff. And disclaimer, I'm not going to bash anything. A lot of people on those shows, they bash people. I don't do that. I'm in that kind of industry right now in a lot of different ways. I'm a voice actor currently for a lot of different projects. I'm a regular actor. And I'm just a director in a lot of different things. But I don't feel like bashing people. That's not what I do. I like to talk about the positivity of different things. And so if you're looking for that kind of stuff, probably not the right show for you, but we're still going to have a fun time. So let's get on with it. So today for the show, what do we got? What do we got? Well, for the show order, we got me talking about a piece of lost media. Ooh, because it's a Halloween-esque show. I am doing this day before Halloween, not on Halloween, but it's going to be uploaded on Halloween. So if you're listening to it not on Halloween, then you are making a mistake. So anyway, I'm going to be talking about lost media called The Boo Borrow of Otherworldly Operations. If you haven't heard about that movie, we'll discuss in a bit. I'm going to do a quick Addams Family review. Not the live-action movie, animated movie, as we all probably forgot about. And I'm going to do a fun little mini-game here that is Halloween-esque, again, because, again, Halloween show. I'm also going to be talking about some quick news in the world of animation. But, with nothing else to be said, let's get on with it.
Just kidding! I don't have a back!
Forgive him, but as you can see, he has no brain.
Turns out you don't need one. Totally overrated. As a matter of fact, I don't even...
So, first order of business. Lost media. Has anyone heard of the movie Boo? I'm pretty sure I'm reading this right. B.O.O. capital, by the way. Borrow of Otherworldly Operations. If you're not raising your hand, you're not alone, because most people probably haven't heard of this movie. This movie was a animated film that was being created by DreamWorks, as we all know, who made Shrek, Shark Tale. I think they made Ants. I'm going to say they made Ants because I'm not looking it up. I assume they made Ants, so I'm going to go with that. And some other movies that we've all heard about, like Kung Fu Panda. Like, they're still running today, like, they made Trolls recently. I think that's the most recent movie they made, that I can think of the top of my head. I can't think of anything else. But they're a big corporation. They've made a lot of popular franchises that we all know and love, especially Shrek. Like, Shrek is a big franchise in meme culture and just other movies, especially with Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy and just all those actors. It has launched their careers even farther in the future. But Boo was a movie that was never created. And the premise, basically, it's centered around, like, a secret organization that's centered around, like, the capture of ghosts. Like, I want to say, it wasn't Ghostbusters-esque. I think that's not the best thing to say to compare it to. What I compare it to more is that movie R.I.P.D. Most people do not remember this movie either. It wasn't an amazing movie, but I still really like it. It starred like Ryan Reynolds, and I think it was Jeff Bridges. I want to say it was Jeff Bridges. I haven't seen the movie in a while. Basically, it's like the same thing as Boo, where they are, well, not like Boo, they're dead. And they capture monsters and ghosts and just spirits and like basically things from hell, you know, and they try to take them down. They have a whole area where they do this. It's like an organization. And Ryan Reynolds is that kind of character. After he dies, he gets basically like recruited into that area, or he can die. Like he has the choice, so he chooses to be recruited. And that's where it kind of comes from. This movie is almost the exact same plot in a way. There has been test footage that leaked. I haven't seen the test footage for a while. What I can remember is that it's centered around a kid. I think it was a kid. I mean, I'm looking at like some of the promotional images right now, which we'll get to in a second. But the images look like kids, and that's what I'll get to in a second too. But my point is that the test footage centered around a guy who basically went to house and captured ghosts in his free time to make money. And he found a real ghost, and then the ghost like does some things to him. It is not explained. This is what we're going off of. But what else is that it's about like secret agents that were kids. And I'm coming back to what I'm saying with the kids thing, because I'm looking at this test footage and also the promotional images I have on my like computer right here. And one of the kids looks strangely like Jimmy Neutron. And I'm going to say right now, I don't think that they got inspiration from Jimmy Neutron, but it is damn close. I am very confused here because it's like the same hairstyle and everything. It's kind of like a little swoop Dairy Queen, little ice cream, like whatever it's called, you know, the Dairy Queen scooping like chocolate thing that has like a little swirl, like elf boots kind of thing. Donkey Kong has the exact same hairstyle. It's smaller. I don't know what it's called, but Jimmy Neutron and him they have the same hair. This kid has the exact same hair color, the exact same shape of face and hair that Jimmy Neutron has. He looks like a DreamWorks version of Jimmy Neutron. And I'm only saying that, or I'm only like going on to that thing a lot about the Jimmy Neutron thing, because I think it's weird that this movie was going to star Seth Rogen as that character. Now, why I'm saying that is weird is because the character looks like 14. I don't think that would have worked. I love Seth Rogen. I love his movies. I love his acting. I love his comedy. He is one of my favorite actors. But him playing this character would have been so just strange. It did not work. The way I see it. I know a lot of people are saying, like, more recently, like, going back to Donkey Kong, that seeing Seth Rogen voicing Donkey Kong would be weird. I actually think it would work. I think Donkey Kong has that kind of shape and muscular build to him where you would think his voice would be more, I guess, gravelly in that sense that Seth Rogen has. I think it'd work. I think it will work. But this does not work. I'm glad that maybe we don't have to see Seth Rogen voicing a character this young anytime soon. Again, I assume they're this young. They don't actually have any information on these characters, because what I'm looking at right now is an image of, I assume it's a coloring book. I think it is a coloring book because it looks like it. These are full 3D models of the characters that are going to be in the movie. One is the Jimmy Neutron-esque character with like high-tech gear and stuff. Another one is one that looks a little bit older. I want to say maybe like 20s-ish. He's got like a goatee. I'm going to assume he's 20. That's all I'm going to say. He looks 20, but that character was not voiced by Seth Rogen. That's what I know. I know for sure that he was voicing the main character, which is this Jimmy Neutron one. I'm just going to call him Jimmy from now on. That's just the easiest thing to do. So, but it's just very weird. I just don't see why. I mean, I know for one thing that Seth Rogen, he has starred in other DreamWorks movies, a lot of different franchises. We're going back to DreamWorks again. With Monsters vs. Aliens, he played Bob. Of course, in Kung Fu Panda, he played, I was going to say Cricket. No, it's not Cricket. It's Mantis. Sleep on the brain. He played Mantis, you know, and I like him in those roles. They work, but it only works because Seth Rogen has this voice of a adult man that is not at least like below 30. I do not think those roles work for that voice. And I'm kind of glad we don't have to hear that. But I'm just saying, like, I kind of do wish this movie was made. There is a lot of interesting stuff that came out about it, like with test footage, like with test photos. The character sheets and models are still up. You can find them. I implore everyone who's listening to this to go look it up yourself, because it is a very interesting movie. It looks actually really cool. I think it would be a cool concept to bring this back again in the future. I think exactly with, well, the RIPD did it. You know, it did it for an adult audience and in live action. I think that maybe one of the reasons RIP didn't work as well, with Rotten Tomatoes and other critics, you know, is because it was more of a story that would have worked maybe better in a kid's cartoon. I just think it would. And I think with Boo, they were really trying to do that. I think they were doing it first, as far as I know, by the time this movie was going to come out. And I think that if they did it then, I feel like RIPD would have actually been taken better, because it just feels like if the kids' version of it did it first, I feel like if RIPD went off of that, it just would have had more of a thing to improve its story with, and its characters and its flaws. But it didn't. So RIPD came out first, and this is what we got. But kind of moving off of that for a second, there is more information that I do want to discuss that kind of relates to all that too. But basically, like during a Comic-Con, I don't remember what Comic-Con it was. I think I'm going to say like 2007, 2010. It wasn't that long ago, because this movie was canceled maybe like, I want to say 2012 or 2013. It really was like less than 10 years ago. But at a Comic-Con, DreamWorks brought out like a life-size prop that they built from the movie to show audiences. Now, what the prop was is what it was. I don't know what it was called, but it was some sort of gauntlet that the characters in the movie would use to capture ghosts. It had a name. I really don't know. I think it was called the Hauntlet. I'm going to say it's the Hauntlet, but that also might be from another show, because it's in the back of my brain. Maybe that's what I want to call it, but I do remember Hauntlet faintly. So, yeah. But basically, they just brought it out, and I don't know why, because it seems like they were really passionate about this movie. And why I find that weird was because this movie went through like really long test phases with it already went past the test phase, or the phase of the industry where they had like coloring books ready to manufacture and pump out to the media, to stores, to everything like that. And usually when you get to that stage, the movie's pretty far along made. Like the actors are cast, the script is written, everything is ready for that summer. Usually we see a lot of movies do that. I think most recently was for Spider-Man No Way Home. People were seeing a lot of like leaked images of books that were coming out on Amazon listings, because those books are already made. They're made for the movie, you know, because it obviously takes a long time for books to be made, written, especially if they're coloring books or chapter books or character like picture books, you know. That takes a while for the art and illustration to be made. It takes a while for just everything to be written. So those movies are made obviously beforehand, you know, when the time is right. So what I find weird about this movie was that if they had books already made and just a lot of different things, I think they even had like a whole, what is it called? When you have like a movie that has like a novel, like there was a Smurfs one for the live action Smurfs movie. They like had a novel version of the movie. Whatever. You probably know what I'm talking about. But they had something like that for the Boo movie too. I just find it very weird that this movie was canned before like how far along it was, because that's a lot of work, especially for a lot of the crew. You know, and I'm sure obviously they got paid for their work, but to be on that kind of crew of a movie that's been canned after like so much long periods of hours of working, I'm just very surprised it was canned. Especially because it does seem like they were very passionate, because they even went to the lengths of making an actual real-size prop for this movie and showing it to Comic-Con audiences. I don't know of any other like animation studio that's really done that. It doesn't seem like something most people would do, because it's animation. You wouldn't really bring a prop from real life, you know, because it's not the easiest thing to do. You need to make it, you know, you need to get actual like designers and like people who can manufacture and bring things to real life who studied this kind of stuff. You have to bring those people on board to put this 2D design that you've drawn into real life. That takes a lot of work. So they obviously were ready to use that work to show audiences and everything else. So they were working on this movie. So it does confuse me as movies can. There's no known reasons, as far as I know, why this movie was canceled. So that's really all we have. The movie was supposed to come out, I'm pretty sure, 2012. I do remember it was around that time when people were talking about this movie, and I think The Good Dinosaur was teased for a long time from Pixar. Mostly from like those. You ever see like those videos of people who like who talk about like the top 10 movies coming out in this year or movies coming out 2015 to 2020? Like Boo and The Good Dinosaur were always in those videos, but they were always pushed back at least a year because The Good Dinosaur was delayed a while and Boo kept being delayed too. Movies like that usually they just get delayed because of, you know, work schedules. You need more time to work on the movie. That's just how it is. I mean, that's how most work is in general. But obviously Boo didn't come out, and there's no known reason why. Good Dinosaur obviously did. To most people, they didn't like the movie as much. I like it. I think it's good. It's Pixar. I love Pixar. Who doesn't? Especially with Lightyear coming out, which we'll get to later. But yeah, Boo just... it fell apart, and I'm kind of sad about it. I really do wish that Boo came to fruition. It doesn't sound like a bad concept or a bad movie, and as far as I know, I think Seth Rogen's the only known actor that was actually in this movie, because when you look up a lot of the information about this film, not a lot of stuff comes up. Mostly just character designs and 3D models and character turnaround sheets that people made on the movie. And obviously the coloring books and promotional images and the test footage that actually was released recently, which I talked about recently. And I just wish it did come to fruition because you don't see like a lot of DreamWorks movies that don't come to fruition. There have been a few Pixar ones. There was one recently. I totally forgot what it was called. I just know they canceled it like, I want to say a few months ago. And then they also canceled that Newt one. I think it was called Newt, but it was about a gecko, and they decided to favor that for something else. And those are like the only few movies that really Pixar canceled, and I can't think of any DreamWorks ones. So it's sad, you know, and maybe in the future we'll have something like Boo, you know, maybe something like in a cartoon version. Because I think this concept would work in a lot of different ways. I think a lot of people would like to see this concept. It's not bad. You know, RIPD did it. I enjoyed it. Not a lot of people did, but I enjoyed the concept. I think it's very interesting. It's very new. It's not something that a lot of people do where a character is dead and then has to fight like the forces of evil. I think Rick Riordan did it with Magnus Chase. Yeah, I think he did. Magnus Chase was kind of centered around that. If you haven't read Magnus Chase is more... It's like Percy Jackson, but with Norse mythology, and the main character is technically, quote-unquote, dead. He's not really, but... well, kind of. I mean, it's complicated to like talk about. If you read it, you know. But basically, like, he's dead. He has to fight the forces of evil, like Loki and stuff. As an Enhenyare, I think that's what it's called. I cannot pronounce that name for my life. There's a lot of Norse words I can't pronounce. But basically that's how it is. But that's in book form. That's not in movie or animation form. And RIPD kind of failed doing that concept. Magnus Chase kind of succeeded because it was more based around actual mythology. But Boo would have been more of a cartoon version, which I just wish would have been made. And at this point, I think we can only wait for someone to actually make something like this. But yeah, that's really all on Boo.
It's all so different. Pugsley, don't drink it all. This gentleman wants some too. What a nervous man.
But moving on to our next form of topic, which I do have here. I like to do a movie review, an animation review, something that's animated. I like to review every episode. And because this is Halloween, I decided to watch the animated Addams Family movie that I actually never saw in theaters when it came out. I assume that was like, I'm going to say like 2 years ago because the second one did come out recently. I didn't watch that in theaters because I was too busy watching Venom Let There Be Carnage with my friends. Because, I mean, you know, I think a lot of people did decide to watch that movie first because there was hardly any advertising on. I think it was Addams Family Monster Vacation. Let me look this up. I assume it was Addams Family Monster Vacation, but I also thought that about the Hotel Transylvania 3 movie. It's not Monster Vacation, like it's Summer Vacation. There's a weird trope with like monster families kind of doing this, you know, where they go on vacations. Like Hotel Transylvania did it, and this movie did it, and I'm sure other movies did it in the past. It's a trope. It's a weird trope, but it's a thing. It might just be called Addams Family 2. Okay. Never mind. I don't know where I don't know why I always sing Monster Vacation. I really don't. I always do this. And I do it I do it with Hotel Transylvania, but anyway, yeah, that movie came out. I have not seen it. And it's not my thing. I'm not a big Addams Family fan. I haven't really seen Addams Family Values. I've seen a bit of it. I haven't seen the whole thing. I also haven't seen the whole thing of the first one. But I do understand why people enjoy the movies. They are very, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Creative. They're creative, you know? Especially for the time. They're very creative for what they were. And they have that style that really kind of flocked people to, like, audiences to theaters, you know? Especially the comics and the original show. They were very new for the time. It's kind of what Munsters did too, but Munsters isn't as popular as Addams Family. Addams Family had that certain, like, family kind of fun value that people could enjoy. Even though a lot of the movie's content does not hold up today in terms of appropriateness for kids, but, you know, you can say that about a lot of movies at the time. It's just what it was. But I saw the first Addams Family animated movie, and I'll say it's not amazing, but it's definitely, it's different. I do like that about the movie. One thing I will say is that when I was watching this film, I kind of zoned out a few times. I just think the first thing I kind of thought when I saw this film in the form of a teaser and a trailer was I just kind of did not think that it was, I'm going to say eye-catching. The style, well, you'll see this if you ever see the movie if you watch it, but it has this thing where a lot of the colors are very muted. I think because that's kind of how, I think it's trying to see or kind of compare itself to how the old show was, where everything was in black and white. And Addams Family doesn't really scream very colorful to me. It just doesn't. I just don't think Addams Family is a very, you know, it wouldn't be as colorful as something like the Lego Movie or Spider-Verse. It just does not deserve that color palette. The mutedness actually works in its favor, and I do like that. But I think with all the animated movies that come out recently, this movie doesn't really do anything totally new, which also isn't bad. I think that, okay, how do I explain this? I think in the way it doesn't do anything new actually is new. Okay, let me explain. So basically, like, movies like Lego Movie or Spider-Verse or any of the Pixar movies that are coming out, like Lightyear or Turning Red, a lot of them are different in sort of concepts, you know? Like Spider-Verse is animated differently than most animated movies to make it pop out and eye-catching. Turning Red is very different too in terms of style. You can also say that about the Peanuts movie that came out by Blue Sky with how it looked and how the style looked. a lot of those animated movies are trying to do different things. Addams Family doesn't really feel like that in terms of animation style. Character design, that's a plus in the terms of, just being different. A lot of the designs are very weird, and I think that obviously works in favor of Addams Family because they're creepy and they're kooky. I mean, they're mysterious and spooky. That's how it is in the, theme song. And I just think with the animation style, though, because it isn't very different or eye-catching. Spider-Verse is. Obviously, with the way Miles is portrayed and animated, his frame rate is lower. He has less frames, I think, earlier on is what they did, so that when it was leading up to how he got his powers and how he started to learn to be Spider-Man, and then when he was Spider-Man, he got his powers and he kind of learned. He was animated at the same frequency with frames as everyone else, so that they could say that finally he did become Spider-Man. That's kind of what they did. But here, if you're kind of comparing that to Addams Family, the Addams Family is not taking a lot of risk or being very bold in its terms of, I guess, cinematography. And I kind of do like that in a way, but only half because, like I said, I did kind of zone out a lot of the times because the movie just, it feels like a regular, how do you explain this? It feels more like a regular movie than an animated one. Because in animated movies, you kind of take these characters and do crazy things with them. That's kind of what animation is. You can't do a lot of the things you do in animation in real life. This movie doesn't really do that. So it makes it feel more like a sitcom or something like a live action film would do, with more drawn out scenes, with more dialogue than actual movement. And I also kind of feel like the director and the creator was trying to do that to make it feel more on par with the original show. And I do think the director was a fan of the original show. I do assume, because this film does have a lot of love for any Addams Family fan or anything like that. But one thing I also say is that if it was, I do feel like there's certain scenes that don't make it seem like that. I've seen the movie, and there were times where at least I want to say there's at least like 6 or 5 different pop songs that get put in there. I don't remember them because my memory is shit. But it just kind of felt to me like, how do you explain this? Like a lot of movies when they try to do pop culture, there was a movie recently that did something with fidget spinners, but they were making fun of them because fidget spinners were very stupid and very just popular at the time. I think it was Inside Job. I did watch that. Inside Job is great, by the way, so go check it out. But that's the thing I'm talking about, is when pop culture comes into fruition and people try to bring it into these movies that are adaptations and never had it before, it kind of loses the message. And in this movie, there are a lot of pop culture references. There are a lot of pop songs that were popular during the time it was released, or actually a little bit dated, in my opinion at least. It just kind of did not feel very good, especially for Addams Family fans. But like I said, I do assume that the creator is an Addams Family fan because he came back for the sequel, and I do appreciate that, especially if you do come back for the sequel to continue this, Besides that, though, I think the voice cast is great. Oscar Isaac as Gomez works really well. I actually did not even know Oscar Isaac was in this movie when I saw it, until I saw the credits. And I always forget that Oscar Isaac is even in a lot of films, which I love him. He's a great actor. It's just he's become more prominent now, so I'm starting to realize he's in these movies, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I didn't even know that. Charlize Theron is in this movie, too. I think she plays... I actually forgot her name. The mom. I totally forgot her name. I don't know why. But you know who I'm talking about. The mom. I think it's Marisha Adams. Yeah, probably. I want to say that. And Chloe Grace Moretz plays Wednesday. Finn Wolfhard plays Pugsley, who actually did not return for the sequel. That I know. I know Finn Wolfhard did not return for the sequel. I don't know why, but who knows with that kind of stuff. And Nick Kroll plays Fester. I think they're all great. I love the voice cast. They really bring something new to these characters that weren't really done before. And I love it. You know, I think the voice cast is what is the saving grace of this movie, also with the character designs. And I think if you're not planning on seeing the second one or the first, just do it. You know, you might as well. I mean, they have great character designs. They have a great voice cast. And in that thought alone, it's what is the best part of seeing this movie. And I enjoyed it for the most part. So there were times where I maybe zoned out a bit. But besides that, it's still a good movie, and I recommend it. You know, haven't seen the second one, but I will when it comes out, you know. I definitely will. I'll definitely check this one out in the future, and I think all of you should too.
Gregory, your friends are worried about you. They're here with me. Please come out.
Gregory, be still. I think she's found us.
We have a new FNAF game coming out, as most people know. Yes. Cue the scary music and FNAF jump scare sound. I want to say it's a jump scare sound. But basically, yeah, Security Breach is coming out, I think, December 16th of this year. Most people were very confused by the release date. With all these teasers coming out, at the end of each teaser, with the Fazbear and Friends thing, I think they did, where it looked like an old VHS Saturday morning Hanna-Barbera cartoon. They had little numbers generate at the end of each of these teasers, and it would always freeze on like one number. So it'd be like 21, so we know it's coming out 2021, or 12, so we know it's probably coming out either December or November. We don't know. But now, for sure, we do know the release date, and it's coming out actually a day before, I think, Spider-Man No Way Home comes out. Because the movie comes out December 17th. This movie comes out the 16th. So December is shaping up to be a very good month for FNAF and Marvel fans. The new trailer that came out is a gameplay trailer. So it's the official gameplay trailer. We've seen some gameplay of this game before, and we've heard things here and there of how it's going to work, or we've made kind of assumptions of how it's going to work. But now everything is out there, and we know exactly how things are going to play out. For one thing, a lot of people assumed, and it wasn't actually confirmed yet, as far as I know, until this trailer came out. I think it was 2 days ago. But a lot of people assumed from a statue that was released of the main character's name, Gregory, going out of the Freddy animatronic and basically just sitting inside of him, that we would be able to control Freddy, that Freddy would be an ally in this game, and that we wouldn't really fight him, but all the other animatronics would be bad. And that is actually confirmed now. We know this for sure because there is a scene in this trailer where you do see Gregory piloting Freddy. And sitting inside of him and controlling cameras, and he has a Faz watch that he can control Freddy with. We don't know that Freddy is the voice that we've heard 2 times in here, where there's one teaser where he says, like, Gregory, be still. We know that's Freddy for sure, telling Gregory that the others will find you. He's trying to help him. And especially in this one, he's telling him that to stay low and he can escape in the morning. So we know that Freddy's an ally. Is he the only ally? That's the main question. We do not... Okay, I'm going to make it a theory right here. That a lot of people think that Vanny, I think it's Vanny, that's the whole cult member bunny person that we keep seeing in trailers. A lot of people think that she is also the night guard. Do I think that? No, I don't think that. I really do not assume that is what it is. Maybe it is, and when it does come out, everybody can call me out, and I'm fine with that. I just do not think that they're one and the same. And a lot of people do think this because I assume... I don't think the security guard has a name. I don't think it was Vanessa, and I think that's why people think that she is Vanny. I think a lot of people assume she's Vanny because there is a statue that was released along with the Freddie and Gregory statue. And what this statue basically did was that it had Vanny, the cult member, bunny suit, whatever. I don't know how to describe her. Vanny, that's what she is. She's a murderous bunny. Along with the security guard. The security guard's hiding behind a bush and Vanny is on the other side. A lot of people thought this was some sort of metaphor for them being one and the same. As you flip it, she's one way. If you flip it the other way, she's this. I don't think that's what it was. I know how Scott Cawthon is with all these metaphors and the lore and everything, but I don't think in this case that's what he's trying to do. I do not think that's what it is. I assume that Vanny is one of the main antagonists. There is a lot of antagonists in this game, that are going to go after you. There are obviously Roxanne Wolf, Montgomery Gamer, Montgomery Gamer, guys. He's a hardcore gamer. But basically, like, Montgomery Gator, Roxanne Wolf, and Chica are the main animatronics that are going to come after you, along with the staff bots. Music Man is back in this game, and Vanny, the cult leader bunny. They are the main things that are going to come after this little child Gregory in this game. But I do not think the security guard is the bad guy. Because we've seen the security guard in her sort of outfit. We've seen her patrolling the area, and we've seen her doing other things. I just think that her having to switch into a giant white rabbit suit with red eyes just seems very off-putting. I just do not believe this is what's going to happen. It just does not seem very realistic in a sense for her to have to keep switching like suits. And on the other side of the people that do believe this, maybe I'm wrong and maybe it is like that, because it is a video game. It's not real life. I get it. And maybe she does start out as the security guard, and as she goes through, maybe she becomes Vanny and her mind switches into something else. Yeah, maybe that's how it is. But who knows? We aren't going to figure out until the game actually comes out. And there are some teasers towards this. One of the Fazbear and Friends things that came out had a lot of purple guy stuff that happened. Basically, every time it glitched, it was purple and yellow. And it kind of, people pieced these together, and the yellow pieces actually painted out a picture of, I think it's Glitch Trap from the Help Wanted VR game, who was like the main. He's like Springtrap. He's like I'm gonna say Afton. I forgot his last name. No, his first name. It's not Henry. Henry's the son. William Afton. It's William Afton's soul inside this game. He's purple guy. The purple and the bunny is what kind of makes him whole. He had the bunny suit to lure the children into the back, and murder them, as the whole lore is. And now the bunny is back in this sort of digital space, and he's controlling the cult leader bunny, Vanny, to kill Gregory and bring him in. What was my point? I was talking about something. I totally forgot. Yeah, I totally forgot about what I was talking about. Okay. Going back on to FNAF Security Breach. Okay. So basically, what else we know? I was talking about Music Man. Music Man is in this game. And I was watching like a game theory MatPat was talking about, and he was probably one of the only people I know that was theorizing that Music Man would be in this game from one of the Fazbear and Friends teasers at the end of it. Yeah, it's very weird. I'm very surprised they took this character from Ultimate Custom Night and actually gave him a new spot in this game, because he is one of the weirdest characters that they have made for this game. He's very out of place, and he's even more out of place in this game because there's no reason why he looks the way he does in this adaptation, in this next sequel of this series. He's huge, and I assume, as I'm looking at it right now, he is a carnival ride, because he seems like you can ride on the back of him as he climbs through maybe like this whole sequence of tunnels, and he takes you through, I don't know, whatever the log chute at fucking Nickelodeon universes, you know, that kind of thing. He's a log chute ride, that sort of thing. You know, he crawls around. I don't see why he's in this game. It's a very weird choice. And do I love it? Yeah, I love it. I don't think it's bad. I just don't know what they were thinking. That's all I'm saying about that. We do know for sure that we do play as Gregory. And we actually hear Gregory speak for the first time, which I was very surprised about. Let me get some water here. But basically, like, because we haven't heard Gregory speak before. We just know for sure that he was in the game. We just didn't know if we played as the security guard or Gregory. Some people still do theorize that we play as both. That might happen. I do think that could happen because this all does take place in one night. I think in one night you could probably switch back and forth and there might be chapters. I think this game will use chapters for each as the night progresses, and maybe some chapters have the security guard being that sort of playable character, and then Gregory you switch right back to finish certain areas. Or maybe some chapters have you playing as both and it just switches back. Who knows? Maybe the security guard is Vanny and I'm wrong, but usually I am. So, that's good. Okay. So moving on from those kinds of things, security breach. There were some things that were confirmed in a developer kind of post for the state of play that PlayStation did. Which, by the way, this game is. I assume it's PlayStation exclusive for, I want to say, the first 3 months. A lot of people don't know that. I don't think it's releasing on Steam the same day, because they did say that it would be PlayStation exclusive, as in PS5 and PS4 exclusive, for like the first few months of its release. It's kind of what Horizon Zero Dawn did for a bit, where it was PlayStation and then it went on to PC and Xbox, which that took like a few years, I think, but this game's doing it in a few months. So I don't think it's going to be on Steam the same exact day, because this was made... I assume it was made for PlayStation, but I don't know. But anyway, the developer kind of post had more gameplay and more, as in, teasers to what you'll be doing in this game. As in, like, enemy types, as in there's a lot. There's boss battles. There's a whole arcade of games to play in this game. So, Gameception. Which is very interesting, too, because I think it's kind of a callback to the other games where you would play certain arcade games and get lore from them, as FNAF does. But there was also something weird that I found out. So, the staff bots, there's these weird kind of like, I don't know how you would call them. They're like helper robots that help in the restaurant for the animatronics and the kids and everything like that. But basically, like, they are enemy types too. Basically, everything in this game is out to get you, besides, as I think, the security guard. Which actually makes it pretty cool, because this kid is not supposed to be here, and these robots are, as in the developer post actually said, sent by the Pizzaplex security to take down any intruders. So, that might be why they're going after you. There's probably more to it, as it usually is in these kinds of games. But we'll only be able to see. But the staff bots, basically, they don't attack you, but they alert the animatronics towards your location, so you can't be seen by them, or else you will probably die, you know, as it would probably be, and the animatronics will probably kill you. But, you know, not very good, but it happens. So, but I think another thing with this game is that there's a lot teased so far that just makes us more excited for when this game does come out. And I think that's really all that can be said right now, you know, because what else can be said? There's not a lot with these sort of teasers that really tell you what's going on. I remember in one teaser, there was a tease for William Afton to come back as an animatronic, but we don't know that for sure because it was teased in one teaser. Nobody's talked about it since. There's a lot in this game. It's one of the most ambitious FNAF games to come out, and I am only excited. And that's my only emotion for this game when it comes out. And I will be, obviously, one of the first people to buy it, because I haven't actually finished or played a FNAF game in my life. I do have the VR one, but I've only played a bit of it. I don't like horror games. But this game does interest me a lot more than most FNAF games because you are free roaming, and I do love that sort of thing with it. If you're pairing the FNAF lore and the aspect and humor of the FNAF games with free roaming, it only makes for a good time.
Who do you think you are? Scooby? Dooby? Doo!
Anyway, moving on from Security Breach for our final topic of today, I have a little minigame, and we're going to play it. Mostly it's just for me, but you guys obviously can watch and join along too at home if you want to. Basically, I have a whole document here of Scooby-Doo movie names. As you know, Scooby-Doo has been running for years, and when I looked on IMDb, I realized that there is at least, I want to say probably more than this, but there's probably at least like 50 different Scooby-Doo animated films that have been made over the years. And I had my friend, I'm not going to say their name, but their name rhymes with Ash, and they look and sound exactly like me, so obviously it's just me. But basically, they wrote down a whole document of the weirdest names, and I don't know the plot of any of these movies. I just kind of wrote down the names. They wrote down the names. They didn't, it was me. But I'm just going to try and guess and summarize what exactly this movie is just by reading the title. So, number one is Chill Out Scooby-Doo. That is probably the weirdest one on here. Chill Out Scooby-Doo. So, what I assume from this title is that Chill Out Scooby-Doo involves snow. I assume it's snow, so it's more of a Halloween, Christmassy kind of thing, as most cartoons do. Maybe it has, like, the Abominable Snowman. I really don't know. I mean, that's, like, one of the few horror movie characters that really is snow-related. I don't think there's any other ones, as far as I know, because snow isn't a very... Well, I guess there's a thing, but the thing wasn't very, like, snow-related. It was about people in the Arctic, but it wasn't snow. So I'm not going to assume that's the thing, because you can't really do that. And I assume that maybe they were sent out to kill this guy. I don't know. I mean, Chill Out Scooby-Doo. It's a weird name. Next is Aloha Scooby-Doo. Okay. I just think it's the same exact thing as Chill Out Scooby-Doo, but they're in Hawaii. And maybe they were there to pillage and, they were probably sent out to pillage and kill the citizens of Hawaii, but that's kind of bad. So I don't want to assume that, but I've seen Scooby-Doo do some shit, so I'm going to assume it's that. Next, we have Scooby-Doo The Mystery Begins. I assume that's like an origin story. I don't know. The mystery begins. What mystery? The mystery of why there's so many Scooby-Doo movies? That might be why. That's still a mystery that has been yet to be solved. So I don't assume they're going to be solving that mystery anytime soon. Next we have Scooby-Doo and the Legend of the Phantasaur. I assume this movie is about the legend of the Phantasaur, as it says in the name. Phanta, it's not spelled this way, but when I hear Fanta, I think of the soda. So I assume that they're hunting down a soda, like dinosaur, that was created and manufactured by the Fanta company. And Scooby-Doo wants to, like, drink the soda or something, and then he dies. I assume that's what happens. Again, I'm only going off my memory, which is nothing because I haven't seen these movies. So we're going to assume that's it. Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the Lake. Okay, I actually know this movie. Scooby-Doo, Curse of the Lake Monster. My friend is sitting in the studio with me right now. They actually do know this movie, and I'm going to play it off of them. But basically, is this movie like... Is it the one where it's like the live action one that was released by Cartoon Network? Okay, he's nodding his head. It is that one. Okay. I do remember this movie. It's really bad because I do specifically remember that Scooby-Doo hardly shows up in this movie because the budget was so low for the CGI. So they really just have a lot of the Shaggy and Velma and Daphne and other stuff going on. But they never have Scooby, so he's just kind of there in the background, hardly does anything. Because the CGI budget was so low. Because it's a straight-to-DVD Cartoon Network movie. What are you going to expect? I mean, I don't think they have that big budget for CGI. I mean, I've seen the live-action Ben 10 movies. They're nothing to write home about. So, yeah, I don't really know anything about the plot. I just know that exact fact, and he's nodding his head as I say this, so I'm going to move on from that one. Okay, there's two on here that I kind of know, but also don't. The first one is Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery. I assume that's the one with John Cena. I've seen like one clip from this movie where John Cena comes from the heavens and basically he stops a boulder with his bare hands and rippling muscles and basically just stops a boulder from killing and crushing the Mystery Crew. Is that their name? Is it the Mystery Crew? I assume it's the Mystery Crew. I don't know. I don't care. But I just know that one clip because it's been memes so long. And there's another one here that says Scooby-Doo and WWE Curse of the Speed Demon. I did not know there were two wrestling movies, WrestleMania movies with Scooby-Doo. That is more than there should be, which is usually zero, but I do know there was a Flintstones one too. I don't remember what that one was called. I know I've seen one movie in like some Target where like Fred Flintstone is with some WWE. I don't remember who it was. I just know he was on the cover and they're wrestling. That's what it is. I don't know why WWE likes to tie in with these Hanna-Barbera cartoons. I want to see Tom and Jerry in WWE. Hopefully it'll happen, but who knows. This one I know nothing about. It says Curse of the Speed Demon. I assume maybe there's a WWE wrestler that's called the Speed Demon. I know like three, maybe. I know Dave Bautista, John Cena, and The Rock. I know those people because they're actors, and they're real actors, so that's why I know them. Speed Demon, don't know. I assume that's a wrestler. So we're going to go with that. We have three more here that we're going to go through. So Scooby-Doo and the Monster of Mexico. That just sounds really weird. I don't know. We talking like New Mexico or regular Mexico or I don't know. Because if we're talking about Monster of Mexico, I assume it's the Chupacabra. Because that's like the only monster I know that is in the Spanish lore over there. Chupacabra is always in that sort of area. I've seen it in Pop Tropica, obviously. So I assume they're just fighting the Chupacabra, but I feel like they've done that before. Or I don't even feel like they would do that. That just feels like too real to be doing that. But we're going to move on from that one because that one has nothing to it. Okay, Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster. Again, this one just feels very... It doesn't feel like it would actually be a Scooby-Doo movie because these are real mythical beings that I see all the time in things talking about them. I don't imagine these movies using real mythical beings. Well, they're not real as far as I know, but you know what I mean. Like Bigfoot and Sasquatch and the Abominable Snowman. It feels like they're running out of ideas to really make up their own monsters as they usually did in the cartoon and Mystery Incorporated on Cartoon Network, that they made up their own characters. These are just taking real life, like, mythical beings that people talk about and just being like, Scooby-Doo, here's this, let's make a movie about it. It's like putting Tom and Jerry into The Wizard of Oz and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It does not work. But the last one here is Big Top Scooby-Doo. Okay, so I assume it has something to do with circus. The circus. Not circus, the circus. That's all I can say. I really don't know what else this could use. I assume maybe Pennywise comes out because they seem to like to take real fictional characters and just twist them into their own weird way. But then again, actually, they are both owned by Warner Brothers, so like that could happen. But who knows? So anyway, I'm sure I did not get any of these films right. But only time will tell. And you guys can tell me down below if I did. But anyway, this is the end of the first episode of Anichat. I hope you all enjoyed. We are going to be doing this weekly. Some shows will be live. The link will be down below for when you can see those live shows at Saturday at 2 to 4 p.m. But a lot of the time it will just be recorded in my studio or the regular studio that I usually record in. But it really just depends on what I want to do. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any suggestions for what I need to talk about or what I should talk about in the future, anytime, or just mention, that's what I will try to do. So anyway, if you enjoyed, please share, tell everybody about this. This show is just meant to have people who like animation join, and just listen to me talk about it for a weird amount of time. And if you're an animation lover, then I think you're going to enjoy this show, and I think other people will too. So anyway, peace out, enjoy the rest of your day, and do not die in a Scooby-Doo watching marathon, because most people would, and there's at least 50 different casualties that have happened with Scooby-Doo watching marathons. So anyway, there's your warning for the day, and the more you know.